See you there. Welcome to my humble abode. If I understand correctly, you're here because you want to know a little of what went on this year in tech class. All the common tasks and skills that are performed. Well, today's your lucky day. With my colleagues, Babo and Big Gabriel Ramdawa, we have come up with what we like to call a video of what went on in the shop this year. So, if you'll be ready, it's time to sit back, relax, and watch the video. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a paper to get back to.
For the MIG welder, the first step is to plug it in. Next, you put the oxygen gauge at 12 and open the valve fully. Next, you pick your sheet of metal and measure it so you know what to put the two dials at. It needed it to be at 1 in E. Then you're going to put the big metal clip on the metal work table for the current of energy to go through for the power. Place a magnet on your sheet of metal to keep it in place. Now you want to make sure you have a leather jacket, gloves, and welding helmet to start welding. Make sure the arm without the welder is in front on the table for support. Lastly, when you are done, make sure to put all the equipment back in its proper place. And your finished practice line should look something like this. Yeah. The oxyacetylene torch, you want to make sure you have the proper goggles and leather gloves on before using it. Next, you want to have the acetylene at 7 and oxygen at 21 and turn both valves on the tanks open one turn. Then, you turn the acetylene on all the way on the torch and not the oxygen. And this will allow the striker to create the flame on the torch. Next, turn down the acetylene until there is no black smoke. Then adjust the oxygen on the torch until you have a thin, small blue flame. Then, to have the metal come off, you keep the flame on it, and when it gets red hot, you press the trigger on the top of the torch to blow the liquid metal, and eventually your piece of metal will fall off, just like that. Then, when you're finished, turn the acetylene off all the way, and make sure it's the acetylene first. Lastly, when the flame is out, empty out the oxygen on the torch, and empty out all the tanks, the 2 tanks, and put away all the equipment where it came from. Yay.
First, use a vehicle hoist book and find the car you are working with. Next, set up the hoist according to the picture and what it shows you. Make sure you check with your teacher when you're done setting up the hoist. Next, hold the button down for a little until the hoist is up just a bit. Then, push down on the cart and make sure it is not wobbly. Once you think the hoist is fine, raise the car by holding the button. Keep pulling the button and you will keep hearing a click. Once you have the hoist up where you want it, pull down on the level right beside the button and that will lock the car in the hoist.
First, you have to find the socket that fits the bolt properly. Next, you need to connect the air hose to the impact gun in the wall, where it gives off pressurized air. After you have done all that, attach the socket to the wrench and start taking the bolts out. Once the bolts are out, you can take the tire off the car and you are finished. To put the tire back on, you pretty much just do the same steps in reverse. After you've put the tire back on the car, you start screwing in the bolts about halfway, but not all the way. After the bolts are screwed in, you start putting them in with the impact gun. Make sure that when you're putting them on, you screw them in diagonally. Don't just go all around the tire side by side. After they are all drilled in with the impact wrench, lower the hoist, get a torque wrench, and give them the extra tightening it needs. Now you are finished. I see you found your way back. I do truly hope that our video has taught you and showed you just what goes on in the shop. Have a great rest of the day. Tally ho.